he's going to search this. And this top nicely, and he evaporated.
Oh, Kissay! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCO, delivered by Menulog. Guess what? It's time for Menulog mealtime. That's why I'm wearing a jacket. That's why Kitty's wearing a jacket. That's why Skimmy's wearing a jacket. That's why Rusty's wearing a jacket, because we love Menulog. You know what time it is, though? Time to type MENUPOG in Twitch chat. Go into the running to win one $30 voucher that you can use on Menulog. Get yourself some dinner. Get yourself some brekkie tomorrow. Who knows? You choose. If you win, you get to do what you want, and that's the whole thing about being a winner. You know, winners are grinners. Winners get to decide their own fate in life. Winners
write history.
Winners get chicken dinners, Mac.
They also get chicken dinners. So, you know, I think there's some Porto on Menulog. Get in there. Ooh, a little bit of chicken. Ooh, scrum-diddly-umptious. Now, look, talking about arena food, of course, we went into what our arena food choices were. You guys from the fans sent in some suggestions earlier, but I'm always down for a hot dog. So, there are many, many different kinds of ways you can have your hot dog. I'm a completo man, if you know what that is.
No.
It's actually the Chilean, whatever you want to say, version of the hot dog. It's got some guacamole on there. It's got some sauerkraut. It's so damn good. Get it from home sometimes, but we also do go a couple of suburbs that way to get the best from like this Chilean bakery. It's so good. Now, are you just all normie with your hot dogs?
Nah.
Or do you get spicy with it?
I go Korean hot dog, which is you actually put sugar on it, and then tomato ketchup. And
sugar?
Then,
mustard?
Yeah, the Korean hot dogs are goated.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sounds good.
What about you?
I'm the most normal white male you've
It's
ever
like
seen eat a
Bunnings
hot dog.
Snag. Not even a hot dog, but yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you
mate.
go.
Lockdowns were
You know,
tough on
something
me.
I've been craving for the past 2 years because I haven't been able to travel back to China is that sometimes in these like Westfields, I guess is what you call malls, they have like little stalls where they just have like some sausages on like a grill and they just keep rolling and it's like a roasted sausage and you put it on a stick and just eat it. But that's what I'm sure you don't know what I'm talking
So
about.
there's no bread involved, but
there's no
it's
bread.
It's a
It's just a
sausage on a
sausage.
Is
stick.
it deep fried?
It's not deep fried. It's just kind of grilled on a rolling thing.
Any
but
sauces?
No sauce. Dude, it's so
Okay.
good, but there's like literally nothing. It's just, I don't even know
You
if it's
guys want to
meat.
talk about League of Legends?
No.
I think I do, because it's the end of
No.
Menulog
Talking about some
mealtime.
saucy
These
sizzles
guys
here,
are
mate.
real into the sausage on sticks business. Kitty, you've taken us down a hole, and we'll just have to figure out what's going on afterwards.
Sausages
But we'll talk
spin.
about that one after the game. Of course, we're going to talk about Direwolves first. These guys are looking red hot in the running for the top 5, and we even have a sneaky little roster change coming through today. Shardblade subbing in for Zoranus up top. Skimmy, tell me what they're going to be able to do today.
Well, the King of ARAM is back again. He's keen to showcase what he can do. We heard from when he last played, when Zoranus was out, that they do a lot of 1v1s, so he's fairly akin to trying to become a bit of a solo kill demon himself with a fairly expansive champion pool. So I'm expecting, all those classic champions like Fioras, Camille's, Nars, to say the least, as to trying to showcase your expertise in that skirmishing. But across the board, I mean, yeah, from what we've really seen from this team, they experimented with a draft which was a solo Poppy, a whole host of damage.
Yeah.
And feels like a bit of a bait pick, but I can fully see the merits behind it. I'm expecting them to sort of stick to that and maybe just implement a little bit more tankiness elsewhere.
Well, we'll see if they can stand up against the elephants, or mammoths, whatever you really want to call them. Mammoths, they're just kind of hairy elephants, aren't they, Rusty?
They're absolutely just mammoths. I don't want to mislabel a mammoth as something that it's not, because I don't really know
I've
what
crossed
they
the
are.
line. I didn't
don't
mean to
know
cross
what
any
they are.
lines. Either way,
But they're
mammoths,
mammoths.
they're making this run to the top 5 work. So far, so good, but they need to win every single game.
Yeah, they do. I mean, every game for Mammoth is do or die. It is must win. We said that last week. They managed to pull out their victory. They clutched, to say the least. It was peace. They are now 3-0 against them. They've given themselves a head-to-head, right? So they've given themselves something to fight for in this game, but they have to win to get there. And every match is going to be an uphill battle for Mammoth, but against the Direwolves, they are this weird combination of play styles, I feel like, right? Where Mammoth like to scale, they like their team fighting. To get there against Direwolves is really difficult because they do enjoy skirmishing early through mid, and Suman can be absolutely unleashed and just take over whole game.
Now, I really want to talk about what's going on towards top, because when Zoranus is there, I feel like he's the kind of person that can really control Papyrus, but with Shardblade in, that's a slightly different dynamic, and maybe one that Mammoth weren't prepared for, but I'm really curious as to how we think this is going to affect like the draft.
I think it's a really important point, Mac, because both times Direwolves have had blue side priority, and they've saved that 5th and final pick for Zoranus to get counter pick, and he's actually gapped Rise as a result of it, or gapped Papyrus as a result of it.
Gap Rise.
Gap Rise. So I'm curious to see if the identity completely shifts away because Shardblade's in the mix, and if they look to try and find strengths elsewhere, because I mean Siemens also got the counter pick. So
Yeah, I'm just thinking about you being Pap gapped as like a saying.
Pap gap,
I can't.
Don't ever say that again.
mind the gap.
Mind the Pap.
Either way, the other issue that I'm thinking about now without Zoranus here is he is one of the calling voices in the team. We did hear that usually throughout the early game it's like the jungle mid sort of haven't been a bit more vocal. When Bulldog's roaming around as well, but towards the end, the later game, that is when we feel like Direwolves kind of fell apart last split, and they kind of fixed that this split. But without Zoranus there, how's that late game going to look?
I mean, it's hard to say because Direwolves seem to have been solved by some teams. Like, I think Kanga have actually solved Direwolves and are able to beat them.
Yeah.
I feel like 90 times out of 100 now, just by draft. I don't think that Mammoth can replicate that, so I'm not sure how much of a difference it'll actually make.
Okay.
Because most of this to me is about can Suman be unleashed. Because if Suman's allowed to play his best league, then no one really beats them.
Well, that's if he's allowed. But the man that's usually allowed, and even when they try to stop him, he plays it anyway, is Dante. And he's going to be going up against Voice. So let's have a look at this head-to-head, because both of these individuals have done a lot of the heavy lifting for their respective teams. And here's the stats to back it up.
Here are the stats, and if we get a look at the different champion pools from both Dante and Voice, we do see that Dante does like to prefer to pick those long-range AD carries with the Ezreal and Jhin, where they're more safe-sided, if you know what I mean. And then if we take a look at Voice, he has the Kalista, Sivir, and Senna, which I do believe it was Mammoth pulling out some freaky Senna combo in that bot lane.
Senna Wukong.
It was Senna Wukong, yes, and it was very, very freaky and funky, and it worked out completely fine. And I think with Shardblade coming into the mix, they kind of lose a win con from Dials, because we do know that Shardblade isn't as much of a carry potential compared to Zoranus. So if they decide to pick something that completely shuts down the bot lane as well, they can just full-on focus on Suman.
I think that's a really interesting point, because when we have looked at a bit of a profile of Mammoth, they are heavily reliant on Voice. I think in the past we're saying like 37% of the damage, the gold, everything goes towards making sure he pops off. He said, yeah, I love early game champions, maybe Senna, maybe Sivir, I like the outliers in that kind of conversation, but he's going to play the Ezreal, he's going to play the Kalista, look to try and snowball the lane and try and be a bit of a menace. And now that Shardblade is coming in, and they've lost the Voice of Zoranus and the carry potential that he brings with his expansive champion pool, maybe there's a lot more burden on Dante, looking to try and pick up the pieces too.
Well, we have the man to have a chat to as well. Not Dante, but his teammate down in that bot lane. We got Bulldog on the line. Bulldog, quickly, hello. How you doing? First question,
hey, what's up, gang?
Are you excited? And how are you going to deal with this bot lane of Voice and Ali G on the other side today?
I mean, we're going to do our same work. We're going to put in our work, do it lightly, easily, We're going to eat them up real quick, and then, roam to that mid lane, help out Suman out.
So am I expecting some Tahm Kench down in the bot lane then if you're going to eat them?
Potentially. I won't be leaking anything, but
true.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Either way, we eating them up, no matter what channel. Come on
Matt
now.
just wants to leak the script. Don't worry about him. But let's talk about how you guys have Shardblade coming in once again against Mammoth. So we do know that Zoranus played a huge role in terms of shot calling. So with Shardblade coming in, do you think the shot calling dynamic will change and shift around you and Poltron?
Yeah, look, I'm going to be the voice of this team
Hell
tonight.
yeah! Let's go,
If we
Bulldog!
lose,
Yeah,
if we
let's go.
lose, not my fault. But if we win, all me.
That's a good way to look at it. Definitely, claim all responsibility if you win and just put it all on Poltron if you lose, right? That's the plan?
That's the game plan.
That's beautiful. All right, now talk to me about mid lane. Seelman, he's been getting banned out like real hard in the previous couple of games. Has he been sort of feeling negative about that at all? Has it really been like ruining his sort of gameplay? Because it's been noticeable when he's allowed to play like his Akali and then when he's not.
Well, when he gets triple banned out, like later on in the review, he just yells like, "They know who's the best. They know who's the best." So
yeah,
I think it's a bit of a what's it called? yeah, we need to sort something out for when they do ban them out 3 times.
Well, hopefully, even with the 3-ban, Suman does get to pop off today, and hopefully you get to pop off with the shot calling as well. I will be watching, and best of luck, Bulldog. See you on the other side.
Thank you. Don't know what side I'm going on, but see ya.
Neither do I. It's always a mystery. Good interview.
I'm just here to play
I saw
League.
some bloody expressions coming out of you during that interview. You were enjoying that one.
How can you not, mate? The Kiwis are charismatic. There's nothing
For
nothing
real.
else like us.
They're having a lot of fun. You, him, Dante. Is Shardblade a Kiwi? Or is Shardblade here? Do we know that?
I think he's an Aussie,
Ooh.
from memory.
Anyway, I just didn't want to, leave him out just in case.
Sorry.
Either way, he is Australian. I just got confirmation. So not Shardblade. He's got no charisma. Let's talk.
Can confirm as an
I
Australian.
apologise. We're all terrible here. Dare fan vote time. Tell us how you think this game's going to go. I'm not too sure. No one's really too sure because without Zoranus, Direwolves may feel that little bit weaker. Maybe Mammoth have a very good shot of that big fat dub today. So get those Twitch points in. Let us know how you think this one's going to go. Now let's have a look at how we think this one's going to go. Our predictions, everyone on the Direwolves train. Although I did instantly ask, can I swap that when we found that the last minute sub came through?
I've
Did
gone historical bias.
Very fake, very
Mammoth
fake.
have never ever beaten them since the LCO begun. So
Yeah.
I've said, why would that change today, Mac?
Well, because Zoranus isn't there. But at the same time, after I my instant response was, whoa, I want to predict for Mammoth. But then I had a couple of seconds to just, stew my thoughts a little bit. And I was like, you know what? I still believe in the rest of Direwolves anyway, especially if Suman isn't going to get banned out. Let's see if that happens because
It's 'cause-
look, Mammoth have been confusing sometimes.
Mac is wanted to pick Mammoth because he saw Paprise gap rise? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the thing we're going with.
Yes.
He absolutely gap rise the person. Was it Peace? Yes, it was Tien on that Shyvana top.
Yep.
And that's why he's biased now because he fell in love with the Shyvana top and he wants to see it again.
The
drop
Pappy
into
Gap.
hard
Valid.
Shard
Valid.
Blade.
That
Pappy
is very
Gappy on the
valid.
Shivaki. But doesn't work.
The tongue
Can
twister.
We're making up
Put it in the
words.
bin.
Bars.
True, but no, Shyvana's scaling is ridiculous. I actually started playing a top after watching him do that last week. Only played it a couple of times, but when you just build that full HP build, you're just huge. You're just huge and you do so much damage and you never die and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And some people are like, yeah, no, she's busted. And I'm like, why do people how has she become so busted in the last short amount of time with the smallest little tweaks? Anyway, conversation for another time. Champ Select's ready. Let's jump on into game number 2.
That's the beauty of patches. Suddenly somebody figures out, hey, this champion's actually pretty good. And that's what Direwolves have realized as well about that Kale. They will instantly ban it away, cannot be utilized. The tax has been paid by the side of Mammoth, who have also banned away the Shaco.
Yeah, actually a lot of, between both teams, there's going to be a lot of target bans, right? A lot of very specific things that you need to take away. The Shaco, the Silas by Mammoth is specifically for Suman as well. It's a very bold first pick here, I will say, of the Sivir locked in. This does definitely raise some questions as Voice was the Sivir player. For a second there, I blinked and I was like, oh, Mammoth locked it in. Then I realized it was Direwolves. Sivir's actually being seen a lot around most of the world in the major regions, the top 5 regions of the world. Has been seeing some gameplay. The LPL was the first place that I saw it. And I saw a lot of I guess Trist Alistar type of responses. But the idea with Sivir is because she's close range, she's a crit scaling AD now as well with even her Q Boomerang. If you have something that is aggressive early, like a Draven Renata,
That's aggressive.
yeah, it's aggressive, you can probably deal with the Sivir. However, keep in mind that the support hasn't been locked in here, so something that's hyper aggressive support that wins lane could be hard to deal with still for a Draven.
It certainly could be. And the Sivir is always one of those interesting champions ever since that rework, especially now with the ultimate on the hunt. If you get a kill, it resets it. You're just consistently boosting into a team fight.
Yeah, Spellshield giving a movement speed effect as well. It's actually really, really valuable for her low range for navigating team fights and skirmishes. But the lane itself is a different beast.
Certainly are. Going to be a few crucial spells that spell shield will be warranted for. Shardblade going to lock himself in with an R. That was what he played last time, so 2 from 2. And certainly the creme de la creme of what is very strong right now in the meta of things. And Seaman also going back to an age-old classic in the RE.
Henry Fury locks in the Talia, which is something that he played last week and is one of the few Talia players in this league that was quick to jump onto the bandwagon. But still a couple of mid laners now in the league starting to pick this one up alongside himself. Just as we go through the pick ban phase here as well. Like you highlight, Suman getting his champion, getting one of his best champions, very liable to be a hard carry with this pick. They've got a Sivir that you would say is hard to dive in theory, right? Or hard to engage on because of the spell shield being there. Draven Renata enables some angles. Talia Roam enables a lot of angles as well. And they're starting to ban out Enchanter supports. So they really want to make sure that this Sivir has a bad time. Now, I'm always going to say this, and we're very rarely going to see it, but Karma Sivir is unbeatable.
That's a Bulldog classic.
Yeah, just because it controls minion waves so well. Like, you want to push, both of you just use Q. The wave is pushed. Who would have thought? And so that's why, like, I always look at that and say that's probably a really good combo, really good duo. But Lulu's the obvious choice for auto attack based champions. You have a Nara and a Sivir to work with already.
Banned away that Poppy as well, which we thought could be a consideration there for Poltron. Actually worth noting also, the last time that Direwolves have played up against Mammoth, they've always had Blue Sun, they've always first picked Wukong, which is still up and available. You may also have noticed that Direwolves have not made any bans in this second half, and that is because they made a late substitution with Shardblade coming in, so they've lost out on that regard. We'll get to see, I suppose, if that does harm them going into the latter half of this draft as to getting the better end of the stick. But yeah, some considerations as to what's still up and available.
I mean, do you just go Seraphine if you're Bulldog? You know, like as far as I can see, it's something that hasn't been picked or banned here. Hasn't really had a lot of focus given towards it today. Full stop yet, just kind of coasting through this draft.
Yeah.
Can just be picked as a support, right? Like, it's more often seen as a mid laner, more often seen as a bot laner farming. We have found, however, still going to be there if it comes down to it, and with a Lulu ban, just raising another Enchanter option. Wukong very easy lock in here for Mayfan. Poltron still has the options of a counter, though. Poppy's obviously one of the better ones, but plenty of choices still there.
Yeah, begs the question now, what do you decide to go for?
Does he play Lee Sin? I don't think we've seen it.
Well, here we go. We are hovering on a Kali at the moment, which would be very spicy, but it does feel much more akin to say that is the go-to, right? You're looking at Viego to match that of the Wukong. The Karma was up and available, but opted to go for the Bard instead. His second performance, I believe the last time we saw it was up against Kanga into a Lulu as well.
I mean, speaking as a Bard player, I like Draven matchups because it's a free stun. Because he puts a big circle on the ground to catch his axe and you've just got a free target to aim for. But it doesn't necessarily speak to me as a winning lane pick here. In fact, I would say that the Sivir and the Bard is highly likely to just be attacked and dove relentlessly.
Yeah.
And can fall massively behind. But if Bulldog's unleashed on the map, he's able to have an influence, able to get some roams off early, and Dante's not going to be 0-7 for it, then there is still a lot of high value here towards the Bard pick, right? Very low mobility on a lot of champions from Mammoth. Talia has no dashes. Shyvana has to ult to have a dash. Draven has movement speed, but no dashes, nor Renata.
Sure.
So there absolutely are worlds where you can get immense value from this Bard pick because of the pick that it can provide, which works nicely with the composition, right? You have a Sivir ultimate that follows up. You've got an Ahri that can charm to kick fights off or that can catch the target that you're after, and it's about getting those resets for Viego. So Direwolves do still have cohesion in their composition. I would say it is risky to be the Sivir and Bard, though, in bottom lane when they've already locked in the Draven Renata and they have a mid laner that can roam and a jungler that can dive.
They certainly do, and just a whole lot of damage. I mean, Paprice is going to lock himself in as Shyvana once again. He looked phenomenal up against Peace on it. A huge carry performance from him. And they've got the makings, you'd have to say there, Rusty, of a comp well equipped to try and contest or even at least go towards those dragons and stack them up, work towards it as a very early soul point condition and abuse the fact that you have locked in a first pick Sivir.
For sure. I mean, as it stands, I do think that the Shyvana last pick here for Mammoth could be really good, though, in counter to that, right? Because they want to play for the Drakes themselves and absolutely give themselves a place to snowball super hard. What does the bottom lane of Direwolves provide? What does the composition of them provide if Mammoth are able to freely scale? Which is where Mammoth want to be at all times. And acknowledge really quickly as well that Direwolves, as far as shot calling is concerned, Zoranus was a bulk of the mid to late game, not the laning phase where he's busy laning. So that's the point of difference, and getting to late game might be Mammoth's goal.
Well, the goal in this one is to figure out, can Mammoth still make it to playoffs? They have to win every single game, and they need to rely on a little bit of lady luck as well to carry them on through. We'll get to see if that is to be the answer, if that is to be the case. Because as far as things go for Direwolves, they have won 10 times since the LCO begun, never dropping a game. It's a phenomenal record. And I got Alexis on the line from the side of Direwolves to say, I don't know, coach me through what that really means to you.
It means a fair bit. You know, we want to maintain that streak, of course. But at the end of the day, like on any day in LCO, I swear to God, anybody can beat anybody.
It does feel like that, doesn't it? It certainly has
Yeah.
been a few spicy moments even from the draft and sort of how the games have played out. But then, tell me, have you prepared for Mammoth here tonight?
Well, it was a bit unfortunate that Cameron Zerenis's MBN has shit the bed and is no longer working. So we had the last minute sub Shardblade in, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Lucky for us though, we didn't scrim necessarily with him, but we played some A rounds with Shardblade, so we're prepped in that regard.
Absolutely. I've been there with you. I fully saw all the scouting that took place in those ARAMs. Well, on a quick final note then, how much has that changed? Rusty, you mentioned before that Zoranis was a big voice in the team, so does that mean the contingency plan really is Bulldog now picks up the slack as a result?
I'd say it comes down to the rest of the boys picking up the weight. Like obviously, I think Joel Shardblade can definitely hold his own and he can do the job necessary. Cameron though is such a talented player that missing him is obviously going to hurt. But it's up to the boys to step up to the plate and carry the rest of the team. That's it.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to crack on with this game. Wish you and the rest of the boys the best luck in this one, and we'll catch up next time.
Cheers. Have a good one.
So, as we're looking at the bottom lane here as well, note that there's going to be no exhaust between both 2v2s. Draven can be absolutely unleashed is the really important takeaway there. Dante has prioritized having heal, and Bulldog has prioritized having ignite. Now, I will say, in terms of ignite targets, there is some healing obviously going to be there from Voice, but realistically, I don't think it's going to be that much of an influence. I think the ignite is more about just actually having extra damage, having more impact potentially from roams.
Sure.
Just being able to provide more DPS on the board in general. But the Sivir, fairly low range champion, is more of a spell slinger. I haven't seen a tier build come out of a Sivir since the changes, still just prioritizing the crit. Haven't even seen an Essence Reaver.
No.
So early game mana costs are still quite high.
A lot of times you just see presence of mind as opposed to the Triumph, right? To
Yeah.
try and patch up that weakness. But
It does mean, though, that if you're forced to use spells in laning phase, you could probably get bullied out. Can make things quite difficult. And it does also mean that, in reality, Bard not going to be roaming nearly as much as perhaps Dire or the Bard player would like. And obviously, that is also reflected through rune choices, through item choices from Bulldog here as well, right? Relic Shield as well as the Guardian. Wants to protect Mr. Dante as though he were the president of bot.
absolutely, you've got to survive this early game laning phase and ensure that you do reach that point, 2 to 3 items where you are a bit of a menace, where you can group up and that Ricochet will be bouncing around, making it look ever so easy. But I like Sepultron here on that Viego to try and claim those souls. Speaking of, here he is right now. Looking to try and zone back Mayfun. I went for a bit of a cheeky invade. Looking to try and lay down some vision, but not going to be as easy as that just yet. And I suppose Voice, whilst we are touching on some of the spells, right, he has opted for the Cleanse. He's going to have a lot of value with that, given the amount of pick potential, the Bard, the Ahri, even the Narshov.
Yeah, exactly right. It's a pick comp here from Direwolves for sure, and how they want to start these team fights off. You could have Mega Gnar flanks, you could have Bard ultimates, but the reality is the easy to execute play for Direwolves is pick first, team fight second. So Cleanse has really high value for Voice. And he's also going to be the only Cleanse on the board right now. As the game plays out here as well, right? 4.5 minutes in, you're expecting the bot lane to have push for Mammoth. You're expecting mid to be fairly even, but Ahri likes to spam abilities with Reckless Abandon and constantly crash waves in. Just setting up for Drake does mean that I think it should be a little bit more accessible for Mayfun to get into the area with the Kilter that exists bottom.
And we are seeing really sort of the proof that you mentioned from the drafting phase as to where the lane state is for the spot lane, constantly pressed up against their turret. As the mana is starting to run a fair bit low here for Dante, also seeing it represented just from some of that CS, right? Having to farm underneath that turret and just claim whatever you can without losing too much HP in the process.
It's already about 2 waves difference, you know, which 5 minutes in, there hasn't been that many waves. It's starting to add up very early. Bulldog just with the pump fake Bard portal. I'm a big fan of that. Just don't get ganked in the next 20 seconds. It's always good to play mind games with people. You never know. Bard's always roaming. Is there someone following that portal? Mammoth know this time because there's a ward there. But what if you disrespect it and you die?
Certainly is that game of chess as to am I faking or is this really happening? Are you about to be collapsed upon. I wonder if that is where the focus will be found here for the Direwolves, says now.
Portal through the wall is
Ultra
an
in the
angle.
area.
I feel like Ali G's the target.
Here they go, looking for Ali G. The Ignite is sure to go out on towards that Renata, who flashes away instantly. The Ignite is being held onto. They just wanted that Summoner, and that's what they'll get.
Yeah, Voice actually hits the stand aside, so uses the Draven E to stop Poltron's stun. So with that, perhaps that is the reason that Ali G is able to survive. Flick gonna go just wide here from Refury, but all things considered, you see what's possible with a Bard, right? The unique entry points for junglers that otherwise can't do that and get over walls. It may not be a Rek'Sai or a Shaker, but you've got a magical journey to get you there. And now you've also got a level 6 Ahri on the prowl. And a flashless Renata who might just be face checking. Voice in a whole host of trouble.
Oh no, Ali G as well. Both supports in the area, but both mid laners here as well. The Ignite goes out, and there's the bailout. Ali G looking for that proc, but he won't find a Poltron. Just clutches it there with the Soul Claim, and he also lives a little bit longer. Another reset. Poltron has bought infinite time, and surely now Direwolves absolutely sweep this fight. That was perfect, but Seaman, oh, he's going to dash in there with the final charge of that Spirit Rush. But they found everything they need.
The Viego with 1 HP. Skimmy transforms into Renata, uses Renata's W to survive for a little bit longer to get the second kill. That was fabulous, honestly, from the Direwolves. LNG's the first target. Flash was burned earlier. Mammoth are pretty quick to respond, admittedly, but the first reset's there. Poltron knows that he's going to die, but just gets the full combo off and is brought back to life. Gets a second target to transform into. I mean, still ultimately goes down and has Flash, but the cost and the time spent by Mammoth to make that one happen is just so incredibly high.
Here's a great dash away. Even though he does get stunned, he doesn't get shoved away, and that's crucial for them. Shardblade's going to chuck out that Boomerang and force Mammoth back to where they came from. But a good start, all things considered. Dragon has not been entertained just yet. The first fight meant that they did have to respawn and come back to lane, but now are held up to play 4 and 15.
We're 1 patch away from that happening.
We are, certainly.
Right now, 7 minutes, 50 seconds. Herald is going to be most of the priority, acknowledging that there is a Shyvana that will still want the Drakes. It is interesting that Mammoth is still putting so much of their focus and attention towards just the Herald. The Draven is walking up. At all costs, they want to fight for this one. They're waiting for their AD.
Shardblade doesn't have his ultimate now, using it in the wave.
Papri's about to have his, though. I feel like this is just Mammoth's Herald.
Seems to be the case right here, as Paprise surely smells that something is up. If not, he must have a bit of a degree of confidence that his entire team is just 10 meters down. But in goes Poltron, and you Dragon's Ascent away straight into the Heartbreaker.
Yeah, just unnecessary, unfortunately, there for the top laner of Mammoth. Don't see exactly how it happens, but he knows that he's being harassed and pressured by a 0 HP Nah. You have to assume something's a little bit up. There's no one contesting the Herald, so Poltron being missing. Perhaps Paprise just assumed they weren't contesting and he was doing Drake.
Yeah.
But no knowledge is still power. Direwolves are able to use that one to get a 3rd kill into the pockets of their jungler. Drake still standing, however, does mean that Paprise is going to reset, go back to top, and his team has a crack at perhaps getting him one.
Big difference here, and it isn't unleashed at this stage, obviously, only 9 minutes in, but Paprise doesn't have a teleport. Shardblade does. If he wants to TP to bot turret, perhaps, he can look to try and influence the fight and be a menace when the Mini and Mega is on point with its timing. Poltron, though, fantastic start, right? Really looking to try and even out the odds in what has been a very much Wukong-favored matchup.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so far so good from Direwolves jungler. Mayfun hasn't found too much of an entry point into anything just yet. The creativity of the Bard obviously helps overcome a lot of the potential weaknesses, I guess you could say, quite nicely. And the pace with which they're making the plays is not giving Mammoth enough time to counteract that one. Speaking of Mammoth, though, they've got the objectives in mind. They've secured a Herald. They're now going to transition their way down to Drake. Direwolves will see this. Bulldog level 5, though. Here comes a Sivir.
I mean, it's just gone. It is just gone. Paprise is running all the way from top down to this fight, but will it be too late? The charm on the side, Seaman using the Oracle, looking to try and zone out where the rest of the team is. Dancing with no mana, gets hostile takeover and kind of just shrugs it all off, and well, Direwolves don't find that pick, so they can't win the fight either.
Yeah, Direwolves really try to wrap around. They look for the flank. They look to route them. Shardblade has used the Nara ultimate here, but I don't think Paprise particularly cares. Still has a cheeky honey fruit to grab as well as a refillable potion there. So when all said and done, it's just 2 back-to-back objectives going the way of Mammoth. A juicy little start for a Shyvana to see that. A lot of potential here to break some structures as well with a Herald to summon. but they aren't getting fights. They aren't getting kills. They aren't getting a lot of the other objectives that they need to win this game. They're just keeping up through objectives, and they're behind in gold.
They certainly are. I mean, just checking with the gold at the moment as the Willing Death goes out to try and trim that wave and make life a little bit harder here for Dante to get free plates. Who will get another one, despite that being utilized. But yeah, I mean, you're looking close to, what, 3 to 4K at this stage. Trading really for the late game power that Mammoth are hoping to achieve here.
Jungler's just going to meet each other, and River Direwolves have more of a hover ready to go, and Mayfun is going to respect because he knows he fails the wall. That his mid laner has reset and his bot lane's not going to be rotating to help him. In fact, Mayfun going to do the predictable path here and walk towards his bottom lane because that's where he wants to summon the Herald. His body language is showing that, but he also might just be face checking a Bulldog.
Oh no, Mayfun, he's just gone and done the loopy loop, and his team, or the opposition rather, said that's just a little bit too easy. Read him like an absolute book, and now Poltron is 4-1 with a bounty.
Yeah, they just walk into his jungle, they just set themselves up, and they posture really nicely to make sure the pick's successful. And they do read Mayfun like a book, dying with his flash up. And now his bottom lane's not protected. Unfortunately, it's a little bit impatient, perhaps. Tries to cross jungle, perhaps tries to clear wherever he chooses to go. It was oddly path. He was already staunched out from Direwolves with their vision control in the river. That just really adds up to be a whole lot to deal with. And unfortunately for Mammoth, it is Mayfun's mistake that costs all of them.
Yeah, and Fury can't entertain that idea as well. He's actually popped out the weave as well. Not sure where that's gone, but looks like it's been
No, he
utilized.
hasn't. So it's the cooldown when he receives damage.
Ah, that's
So
correct.
that's what you're seeing is like the 3 seconds of tick over.
For a second, I was thinking, what's he done in
Yeah,
mid lane here?
yeah.
Completely baited by that one. But nonetheless, back to base we go, and those mythic items are starting to come online. Simming with the Everfrost,
Hello.
Dante with the Kraken Slayer, Shardblade with the Gnar backwards, missing the Boulder, might pay the price with a death as a result. Charm into the turret, and Mayfun's dead again. Nice tempered fate, and the Herald means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, just gets barded. Very nicely done. One of the reasons the Bard is such a viable competitive pick, of course, is the ability to deny Heralds, which is the primary focus of most people early. What we missed top lane was a cheeky solo from Paprise that Shardblade started. Well, Paprise will finish that one, but Mayfun once again falls down, falls prey to the Direwolves. They've just completely nullified this Wukong's existence from go to woe in this game thus far.
And it's just so interesting to me that the Direwolves almost entertain the idea. We don't need to worry about counter picking in AD carry or in the mid lane. We want to see what your jungle pick is, and we're going to respond to that quite nicely.
This is also peak Direwolves playstyle, right? They want the picks. This
Poke
is
comps.
Yeah, poke comps, pick compositions is absolutely their pattern of play. You can see what happens there. Quite simply gets the pick. We are looking at a record scratch freeze frame. Top lane fight, we saw this part of it. Throws under the turret, just misses the turret aggro, and then Shardblade stuck really dealing with an angry dragon that got to ghost and auto attack you. Nice little solo.
The Dragon's Descent as well. That leap does a fair bit of damage, which can sometimes be forgotten about, and that was enough to really guarantee that he wouldn't fall victim to a turret 1-for-1. So a bit of carnage happening elsewhere between top and mid all at once. But that Herald that they would have been hoping to really try and achieve some goal back before those plates fell down at 14 minutes has been nullified. So still Direwolves hotly in the driving seat, up by 3k.
Yeah, looking to dive mid right now as well. Water comes through. Oh,
Flash with the Cosmic Bunny. It would have been close. I don't know if that would have hit. Nice dodge on the seismic shove. As that's going to zone Fury away. The charm goes out to day 2 with the Everfrost. That would be dangerous underneath a turret. They're very
Dragon
low.
ult.
Whirling Death! And a good dash away after.
forces the ultimate out of Ari. Fury, when all said and done, basically just forces a full disengage from 3 members strong of Direwolves. Poltron with ult, yes, but their dive wasn't overly committal once the flash Q misses. Bulldog with a huge whiff. Just gets punished really nicely. What's also got such a sizable CS lead here as well, Skimmy. We'll talk about the bleed-on effects of these jungle plays and how it's influenced the map. Voice is behind on his Draven pick.
2 levels.
Yeah, didn't get the kills, didn't get to cash in the gold either from the skirmish that happened prior. Voice falling really far behind, and Dante just has a free solo lane now.
And you can't ask for anything better, right? As a Civer pick, you've weathered the storm, you found yourself at a point of power that, well, this Draven and this Ronaldo that was meant to be so annoying, so oppressive to try and contend with, certainly found its mark, but not enough. And maybe that is all just down to not having that Wukong in the air to try and answer back. Another Dragon is looked at, and this time everybody is here, but
teleport.
Paprise, he's going to come in now with an unleashed teleport. The fight's going to break out. It can't be claimed by Poltron. He got hostile takeover. It was actually taken by Dante, and now the fight breaks out afterwards. and Direwolves just need to run away. Dante with one spell shift, flashing across the wall, and he's just lived. Everyone's so low.
Yeah, Mammoth, I mean, they try and teleport in, they try and commit themselves to the plays, but Direwolves get here a little bit faster. The Bard ultimate connects Human. He sees his prey.
Oh, that's beautiful. He's absolutely crushed the dreams there of the Re-Fury.
And Direwolves, another pick on the exit. Continue to find themselves further and further ahead. Still only 2,000 gold, but whenever it's a team fight, so far it's been so good. Bulldog finds his target. It's Re-Fury, first and foremost, who is a flashless Talia. That is the prime target. Shardblade comes in with a massive Mega Gnar as well, it has to be said. It was like a 3-man Gnar ulti. And is able to just limp his way out. Dante holding the flash until the very last moment, draws them in, but doesn't allow them a kill.
It's such a sketchy 50-50 with both junglers dead nicely in that fight as to who would claim that dragon, but Direwolves have quickly removed an early soul point condition for Mammoth to be excited for this Shyvana to be excited for, as they've had their fights in a 1v1 setting.
Now, the one thing that we didn't get to talk about, why Paprise teleported so late, as he might just ult away here, we'll see how he plays this one, is that he was taking the Herald during the early parts of that skirmish. He actually does have the Eye to summon for himself. It teleports in a little bit late as a result, but the fact that they got to the fight, the fact that it was still a flip at the Drake itself, and he got the objective, means that could have been a 2-for-1.
Sure.
So again, gold lead starts to stretch for Direwolves. They start to find themselves relatively well off and in control of this game, but Mammoth getting objectives constantly. Find themselves avenues, especially with turret bounties now, right, to get a bit of extra money in their pockets with a good summon.
And that's the case, though. You're hoping that they can realize that sooner rather than later, because we already talked about it's a 2-level lead in the bot lane, also in the jungle as well. Direwolves have instant power ready to go right now. That's justifying this gold lead. That's justifying their ability to come out ahead in these team fights. And the fact that you find bounties on the 2 key carries that are well ahead right now.
The funny thing about this game as well is, like, I feel like if Chiefs locked in the Draven Renata, they probably get kills bot lane in the 2v2. Just in terms of how they want to play. But at the same time, the way that Arthur would play around the Chiefs is not something that we've seen reminiscent here with Mayfun. And the way that he has been playing, he's been handled so nicely. Looking like he wants to draw Paprise in.
Trying to bait him there with the Gnar into the wallop as he goes out. Surprise, surprise. There's a Viego waiting in the bush. And the boomerang, well, it was a good idea, but it didn't find
Mayfun, you're so weak.
the slow that they needed. And Mayfan says, get away from my top laner, but bit of a wimpy attack in that
level
regard.
9 Wukong is 2 levels down. Poltron's just going to stand there and say, don't mind if I do.
Another stun onto LEG, even squishier target now as Mayfun goes in for the cycle. And the Dragon's Descent, they're looking for Shardblade. He's flashed away, but the Ghost is active, and they're just going to run him down with that Flame Breath. Beautiful by them. Dante now looking to try and play clean now, so he'll find one, he won't. It's taken away. Double kill for Poltron again. He's now 6-2 and Seaman, the perfect game.
And I feel like Mammoth have ultimately just lost it. Direwolves continue to look for picks, look for plays, and on a silver platter, time and again, they have been gifted those skirmishes. Poltron just going to waddle on in, take away a red buff, say thank you very much. Direwolves always early to the play, always with extra members to the play as well, continuing to take structures just in the face of Mammoth, who have no response.
And Dante's just played that one so beautifully as well, right? Stepping the Seismic Shove, spell shooting the Everfrost guarantee. Now, we're not going to find just a turret there. We're going to steal away your red buff, add salt to the wounds, get another turret there as well. And yeah, Mammoth just trying to overforce here.
Yeah, but the question is, what are you face checking for? What is the value, what is the purpose of getting into that bush if you're Mammoth? There is nothing there. You are already on the defensive because you've lost the trade between junglers. And yes, you'll end up getting Shardblade, but Dante already has priority in mid lane. Your Talia's not there because they're, again, off reset. Constantly, we're finding that Mammoth are looking for these things that aren't real and finding that it's clearly not real. And Direwolves are punishing them with no hesitation.
And that's a worst-case scenario, right? Having to try and summon a Herald from the base just before it expires, not able to use it to try and find a gold lead. The first denied by a Tempered Fate from that Bard. The second that can quite handily be dealt by Shardblade here as well, who has just turned Mega. Third Dragon of the game, Infernal Soul, up in 20.
Obviously going to be the do or die, the ride or die moment for Mammoth is playing around these objectives. It's definitely the win con that they're after for the Shyvana composition. But they have a 1-in-5 jungler who is really struggling to get active into these team fights, and it's just so fragile, so brittle. is very easily just picked apart by Direwolves, who are going to be grouped up here, Skimmy. They've got an Ari on the flank, but otherwise 4 men strong.
They're not going to be in time to try and steal this one away, but can they
Bartol.
try and find a fight afterwards? They've locked in place one. Can they get the stun afterwards? They can't, but they get onto LEG regardless. Mayfun slow the charm onto LEG. He's trying to run for as much as he can. The Whirling Death goes out, but the Bella's going to proc, and that means 2 kills. And that's the first 2 there for Dante. Going to try and run through just a fraction more with the Underhunt active, but they found their picks, and that's the price you pay for taking Drake.
Yeah, you want to take the Drake, the cost will be high. Maybe not there in time, Direwolves, to contest the objective itself, but the follow-up skirmish, the Bard, Ultimate able to find access. The team fight, 2 kills at the very least, a lot of low health members that need to go back to base. And suddenly, Baron is a real opportunity.
Well, it's basically a case of you get the red dragon, we'll get the purple worm. We like our chances in this one, and it is still very early on in this game. The respawns are quick, teleports are there, and much like Direwolves watched the Drake being taken away from them, Mammoth has just done that for Baron.
And one of them is worth 1,500 gold, straight to the pockets with a high variance of even more money to be made. You'll see what happens in this skirmish once again. Mammoth commit themselves, only one person gets caught in the Tempered Fate. Flash away from Refury super early, but Mayfun out of the fight as soon as he's in it, and Paprise not ulting forwards, really just holding on to that one, knowing that the fight isn't real, that the goal is to disengage, but so hard to run away from a Sivir comp, from an Ari that's just dashing after you.
And honestly, the ricochet changes is what gets that first kill there for Dante to keep him excited, to keep him pressing forward. It's just ping-ponging around permanently. And unfortunately, the line was connected and Mayfun fell on down.
It's one of the craziest things about Sivir in general, right? Is every time you play Sivir, you approach team fights front to back. You always do. The old crit Sivir would just hit tanks and kill carries by accident just because of the ricochets. But now if it's just, you know, in a place where there's no minion wave, it's even easier because it just continues to bounce between the carries at the back.
It's going to get even nicer now as we look at that major power spike. Kraken Slayer and Phantom Dancer online. A huge power spike only 22 minutes in. Baron was just acquired, and that means Direwolves are pressing their advantage as much as they can. Currently in a 3-2 split, they'll find that mid tier 2, working to doing the damage at this bot tier 2 as well. Mammoth, an uphill battle.
You know, I think the craziest thing about it is you know when a brand ults you, you see the big fireball and you separate because you see a big fireball. Sivir Ricochet is so unassuming.
It
just
is.
this little tiny boomerang that comes along and just rips your head off. Just never really thinking about dodging it as a primary issue until it hits you and then you regret it.
The projectile is definitely deceiving as out goes another Tempered Fate into LEG. Instant flash away. Now Paprise is in dragon form, looking to try and lay down some disengage tactics with this Dragon's Breath. Only on Sepulchre right now, and that's not the target you're after because they've already lost 2. Both their carries of Direwolves have just exploded into action. The seismic shove goes out. The Whirling Death with the charm. Everfrost, and see you later, Talia. Paprise forced to run outside his base, but Direwolves flash after him. And they want to try and end this game, and end this game early. Only Voice alive, and he's doing whatever he can, but the charm slam, and GG ace.
Yeah, too many summoner spells still there from Direwolves. Clean team fight in the end. Clean wiping of Mammoth off the face of the earth and removing Mammoth from playoff contention.
And with that defeat, much like you just said, the dream is now over there for Mammoth, and Direwolves still feeling very comfortable, tied in second.
Yeah, big important win here from Direwolves as well, to be sure. This match, you would put it down for Direwolves on paper as a victory, but it was clean, it was easy, it was very simple from them from the get-go. They do it with a substitute in top lane as well. And when all said and done, Direwolves just looked like the better team in the game today. And definitely cementing themselves as a team that want to continue to be contenders come playoffs time.
Certainly does, and for me, Maka just shows that they've got so much diversity in their roster, the ability that if they can at a last-minute section just swap out Zonas, bring in Shardblade, and still look that squeaky clean with what, a 23-minute victory? Yeah. It's prime.
They still managed to, you know, cooperate really well as a team and just like operate really well as a team as well. Shardblade tried his best at top. Pappy, you know, knew exactly what he was doing there on the ship, so still managed to get a couple of solo bolos, but that wasn't enough, right? Because it was about what was going on towards the bottom side of the map, around the dragon a lot of those times as well. And Direwolves, look, as soon as that second Drake came through from Mammoth, they realized, look, Mayfun's dead for the 6th time at that point. He's got a 30-something second respawn timer, so we're just going straight to Baron. And from there, it was just really pretty much downhill. You know, a couple of picks in the base, and then the game's damn over. So a real quick one in the end.
It was a real quick one indeed, and I actually really like the way that Dial's drafted. So we do have the Sivir first pick coming from Dial's, where I think Sivir is a really valued pick because she scales well, she plays weak side well, and then she is a really good carry for that late game, in those late game team fights. And she provides soul engage as well with that ultimate, where it's also really good because Dial's doesn't need to scale any more engage, but with the Nara where Shardblade has been only seen on the Nara, it also worked out just fine. And I'm sure Rusty's really happy that Bard is grabbing another win for LCO. And I actually think his Bard actually did really well. We saw that Rift Herald denial in the mid lane, which is exactly why you want to pick Bard. And Suman on those picks, I have a theory going on. So we saw that Renata had a 25% win rate over 4 games, I believe, on this new patch, where I think Renata is struggling because of the current champions that are meta in that mid jungle, where they have so much mobility. And as a Renata, you don't have as much of an escape compared to other supports. So either you have to be really good at standing and positioning, or you get punished really easily. And that's exactly what we saw in this game.
I think another takeaway as well from all of this is Mammoth. This is what happens when you don't target ban Seaman as well. He got the 1 ban with the Silas, but there was some other respect bans coming through, like the Shaco, for instance. So interesting there, even though Direwolves did lose those 2 bans because they had to have that last-minute sub. It still played out. It still worked perfectly. They got rid of the 3 that they needed to. Kale respect ban from Direwolves. We're seeing a lot of respect in the banning phase from all these teams, realizing that, you know, there's select players you really need to try to nerf as quickly as you possibly can. But then having a look at the goal difference, it was just Direwolves from that, like, you know, first blood, you know, about that 7-minute mark, and just slowly stonks just rising, Skimmy.
I think there's a big window in which Mammoth could have looked to try and play around their bot lane as that win condition to try and get ahead. You saw just how ahead they were in terms of CS leads, only 5 minutes in. A whole couple of waves actually just denied away. But I think the fact that Mayfarm was put so far behind that he couldn't actually go down and target with ganks or respond, even summon a herald to try and break open that first turret and allow them to rotate in this Draven, cash in all those adoration stacks, really hurt them in the end game. And yeah, Dante just cruised on through and said, sweet, I'm a Sivir. It's teamfight time.
Just playing the damn strong champs, isn't he? Now, look, someone that was pretty strong that game, had a lot of influence, was our man Poltron in the jungle for Direwolves. Poltron, how you doing after that win?
Doing well. Can't complain too much about getting a win. Every win's 1 win closer to us securing playoffs.
I believe you guys are really close to securing even upper bracket for you guys, being tied second. Let's talk about that fight in bowling, because that was really exciting, where we had maybe you on Viego resetting, I believe, 3 or 4 times, I can't remember, and then we had Suman also getting a lot of resets. So tell me how that fight was played out and why it kind of turned into a snowball for you guys.
Well, I think we were coming that Renata had no flash. We wanted to target her to get the reset for Viego. And as soon as we got the reset, I was actually really close to dying, but I managed to get the reset, use the Renata W on myself, and then during the decay period, I think we killed Draven, and then I got, I wasn't dead, I got the reset, I jumped on Draven, I think I missed the Draven E and then I died, but I think all in all it was like, what, a 3 for 1 or something, and that started snowballing the game. So it was a really good fight by us.
Well, there you go. Must win for you guys. I guess it's not a must win, but, in your eyes, it's definitely a must win game if you're playing for that second spot, playing for that third spot. At the moment, when you're looking at all the other teams in the league, where do you see yourself sitting once playoffs come up? Do you think you'll end third? Do you think you'll be fourth? What's the feel in the team?
I think there's a very good chance we will end the regular season second.
Okay.
I think obviously Penton and Order are our closest competition right now for the second place finish, but we play Order tomorrow, which is a big one for us. If we win, that will put us above Order, assuming we don't 0-2 the week after. And in our final week, I believe our final game is against Pentanet. So if all goes well and we take down both Order and Pentanet, I'm pretty sure we've just secured second place, and they'll be fantastic for us coming into playoffs.
Really rough schedule ahead of you guys, but from what we've seen today, you guys did absolutely amazing, especially on that for Suman, actually, on that Ari. He had a lot of really good picks. So I'm gonna let you go and have you rest for tomorrow, and hopefully we see you next week.
Thanks.
Always good to chat with the big man in the jungle. Now, Dare MVP discussion time. Who is it gonna be from that one? Was it the man on your screens, or is there other people you need to put the names out there? Siva?
Bulldog.
Bulldog?
Yeah, I feel like
Is that bard bias or is that actual
Bad bias.
both. But like, no, I think like Bulldog did most of the early game work for them, right? Like he was a big part of the vision control. He was also setting up the bot lane ganks with the portal usage.
Yeah.
And the reason those ganks happened, the reason the flash was used, right, is a result of that. And then it's very easy pickings for Poltron to just come in afterwards.
And we also know, because Direwolves won, that means Bulldog was doing the calling, right? That's what he told us in the pre-game interview.
Yeah, they should have known they were going to camp bottom.
Didn't. So, yeah, any
I can see the argument for Bulldog. I fully agree. I guess I'm always looking at the latter half, right, where like you look at the finished product of somebody like Poltron that managed to skirt the edges of like 1 HP for such a long time to get those initial kills with the resets. That Seaman is on his carry champion and had a flawless game. Hard to look past those two. I thought I was going to say Poltron.
You're going to say Poltron? Oh God, Kitty.
You just want to make it different.
I do.
Just want to make it difficult for the other couch, huh?
Absolutely, mate.
Fair enough.
Put their emphasis on them.
Want to give it to Poltron because I think that bot lane skirmish where he barely managed to scrap, I believe, 3 kills, 4 dials.
Found the anti-bard
really
player.
good.
Found the
I'm
anti-bard.
not the anti-bard. I'm just
Bard
pro
contrarian.
Viego because Viego with those resets.
Justice for
are just-
Bard.
Look.
What was the quote? Elo
So,
inflated.
Justice for Bard.
So that was
Bulldog's inflated confirmed.
one insane thing that he did, right? So I feel like that could be something that's in the running for the play of the day. But if you think about the rest of the game, not just that one pop-off crazy bloody moment, what about Seaman?
I just look at the jungle gap as to just how far behind Mayfang was put in a Wukong matchup, which has historically crushed the Viego. The fact he's like 1 and 6, 2 levels behind. That's why.
Who was in the bush killing the Wukong, mate?
Oh,
Who was there?
Don't worry about that
Who was
one
there?
too much.
Was
there,
Cosmic
mate.
Blinding? The bloody killed the
big
Wukong
King
in his own
Poltron
jungle,
was
hey?
getting it done for the boys.
No, I'm not going to budge on this one.
I'm not saying it,
I'm not
but I'll
budging.
count to 3. Whoever says the
What
name
about you?
first gets
No,
it.
it's
3,
literally just
2,
Bulldog.
1.
Poltron. Oh.
That was at 2. Just
Was
give
that-
it to Bulldog. I'm adamant.
The Dare MVP is Bulldog. There we go. Thank you. All right,
Yeah.
Let's
0 out of
go.
15.
Let's go.
Big game from the big dog down in the bot lane. Roman round, stopping heralds, you name it, he was there. Magical journeying up a damn storm, wasn't he? 6% damage share, did the least on the team, but that's not what it's about. It's about setting up everyone for success in that support role, isn't it?
Not only does he set up the kills in that bot lane and around the map, not only does he prevent tower plates from going to the enemy team with that bad ultimate, he also short calls. He is the jack of all trades and the perfect support that you want on your team.
And he's jacked.
Mr.
Jacked as
Bulldog.
well.
Unlike
I was looking
me.
at that couple of bloody planets on
Let's
his
go,
arms
Dre.
there. Either way, look, that brings us to the end of this second game. It was a big one for Direwolves, another W on their scoreboard. But look, we've got a third game to get to, and it's going to be a very interesting one. Peace up against Order coming up just after the break.
Oh no, Ali G as well. Both supports in the area, but both mid laners here as well. The Ignite goes out, and there's the Balo. Ali G looking for that prop, but he won't find a Poltron. Just clutches it there with the Soul Claim. And he also lives a little bit longer. Another reset. Poltron has bought infinite time, and surely now Direwolves absolutely sweep this fight.
Hey, look, menu pong.
Fine, so the dog, he's here. How's that one taste? How's that one
what's
feel?
up, mate? Hey, that was for the uwoos. I got the Yumi on there. I got the Yumi, baby. Yeah, meow, meow.
What a bloody game.
Get those Ren stacked and eventually you're dead in.
Oh, and you made D dead instead as well. Look at that. The face check into a Cassiopeia. Things you shouldn't do, and that is certainly one of them. Out goes the hostile takeover, but it does not matter. Double kill now for Fido. He's going to run them all on down.
Oh,
You
the
can get the
flashes.
Ren stacks, but I've got the poison. It's burning. There's a triple.
Your bounds even a small amount. Like that.
It's on. And Puma's just going to die, surely. Exhausto's through.
Some mistakes in Order, picking a scaling comp twice in a row now. Hooked on.
Another hook. Divine Judgment instantly comes out. That responds to the depth charge
They
quite
still got
nicely.
him.
There's the gravity. He's just gone. There's the shutdown.
It's still very dangerous. Hook hit.
goes on, it's on towards Skizzer. He's got the stopwatch, he's dead! He couldn't even hit the zone use, and that's a massive pick! They jump into action after exhaustive and still gets the soul! He's claimed you with the heartbreaker, the turret goes down, Aladora peels away, and Biopepper, he might be strong, but the divine judgment just goes through.
Played 2 days back-to-back where you've seen that from the mid lane rewarder.
Unbelievable position here from Lutra. That's an explosive cast you absolutely dreamed for. Now everybody's just going to fall on down. That Baron, it's still being held. Looking for the kill, they jump on in. Lamp's fight is there. Hostile takeover getting them low.
Seraphine
That's
hits
the
ult.
encore. Everybody's charmed by the might of Mammoth. And that's 3 members falling. Obviously the bailout's got a lot of movement speed. And if he can tag 1 member with that swirl seed, might be feeling good about his chances.
How about
What
Fido?
a turnaround, Rusty. Fido's, he's just saying, why are you chasing?